Hello, everyone. This is Adam with PsychedelicInvest.com. I hope you guys are all doing amazing today. In today's episode, we're going to be covering two of the more notable events that happened within the psychedelic sector this week so far. And at the end of the video, I just wanted to highlight a psychedelic biotech company that I've been looking into. And I just wanted to mention it to you guys and tell you why I like them. So to get things kicking, we'll start things off with Cybin. So these are one of the events that occurred in the psychedelic sector this week so far. Cybin bought a phase 1 study regarding N-Dimethyltryptamine from Entheon Biomedical Group. So from Entheon Biomedicals, Entheon Biomedical. So why I love this news. So number one, I like it when companies are looking into the therapeutic benefits of DMT in general. So already Cybin gets a check mark from me. But to kind of get more into this is that, so I'll read what Doug Drysdale, the CEO of Cybin, has said. So he says the most precious commodity in drug development is time, and acquiring this robust phase 1 study already underway potentially accelerates the CYB004 development program by approximately 9 months. So they acquired this study so that they can accelerate their own DMT study by about 9 months. So I love this because number one, they're shaving time off their own studies for about 1 million Canadian. And number two, this is signaling their optimism and their confidence in their DMT formulation to their investors. So essentially what Cybin is doing is putting their money where their mouth is. They're like, we are very confident in our DMT formulation. We want to accelerate the study. So we're going to buy a study on N-Dimethyltryptamine from a different company so we can use their data to accelerate and shave time off our own studies. So I like this. If somebody is looking into Cybin, this, in my opinion, is great. I see nothing wrong with this move. It's very bullish in regards to how they feel about their formulation of DMT and just DMT generally. And once again, it shaves time off their study. So let's see how this goes. I love this for Cybin. I think I like their CEO, Doug Drysdale. I think he's amazing. And I think Cybin has been, they're very focused on CYB003, which is their psilocybin analog, their deuterated psilocybin analog. And now they have started pushing their DMT formulation, their deuterated DMT formulation, more aggressively. So I'm happy to see this, and I am just eagerly awaiting more news on how their studies pan out. So love to hear this coming from Cybin. All right, what is next? So next we have MindMed was dropped from the Russel 3000 Index. So essentially what this means is, no, they did not get delisted. No, this is not a sky is falling situation for MindMed. What this means in the most simple, plainest form is that MindMed's market cap went below the necessary threshold for being maintained within the Russel Index. So basically, when they rebalanced the indexes, they saw that MindMed's market cap fell beneath a certain threshold. They're like, okay, they are not included in the index anymore. So the only short-term effect I can see this happening is basically as the index starts to sell out of its position, this could add to more selling pressure on MindMed over the next couple months until the selling is finished. So there's a good chance we see some red days out of MindMed, even if the markets themselves will have a good day or a green day. But I don't think this is a big deal at all. All biotech stocks have been getting hammered. MindMed, basically, in the rebalancing, they will not be included in the index, but it's very likely if the market conditions kind of recover, and it's very likely if the market conditions recover and these companies kind of regain some of the ground that they lost during this bleed out, that the next time they rebalance the index, that MindMed will be included in it again. So like I said, this isn't a sky is falling situation. I'm not that worried about this for MindMed investors. It could mean some red in the short term, but generally in the big picture here, this means nothing for MindMed. So I would not worry about this if I was a MindMed investor. But as an investor, you can use it to kind of influence how you might do some shorter term trading in regards to MindMed. But yeah, not worried about this at all. And yeah, this covers the news that I was going over in this video. And next we are going to get into the psychedelic company that I wanted to highlight in this video. All right, everyone, and to wrap things up, I just wanted to highlight Awakn Life Sciences. So Awakn Life Sciences is a company that Dustin Robinson covered on the Psychedelic Investor Hot Seat podcast the other week. I highly recommend checking out that podcast. Dustin Robinson does a phenomenal job of asking, number one, hard-hitting questions that these CEOs aren't typically asked in their more basic run-of-the-mill interviews, and also asking questions that the typical investor doesn't even think to ask. So there's a lot of value you can get from that podcast. I highly recommend checking it out, especially if anything that I say about Awakn Life Sciences today in this video kind of inspires you to look more deeply into the company. That podcast is filled with some tremendous amount of information regarding the company. So highly recommend checking it out. It's in our videos. Like I said, it was posted very recently. You should see it. It has a different thumbnail than the other Psychedelic Invest videos. Okay, now on to Awakn Life Sciences. So Awakn Life Sciences, the reason why I really like what they're doing is because they're taking psychedelics, specifically ketamine right now and MDMA, and they're trying to show efficacy for addiction. So they're really singularly focused on helping with addiction and other disorders that are kind of fall within that umbrella. So I love their focus. I think it's a great business angle because the current ways we are treating these disorders and addictions are just not cutting the cake in any capacity. We could be doing so much better. And I like that Awakn Life Sciences is one of the companies that is really focused on kind of showing how we can be doing so much better in regards to using psychedelics to help people who are suffering from addiction. So they have ketamine in a phase 2B and they have MDMA in a phase 2A, both for alcohol use disorder. So I'm surprised that their ketamine formulation isn't mentioned more. Their ketamine is essentially one of the furthest along in the entirety of the psychedelic sector. I think only Compass is more further along than they are. So it's definitely something I would follow just because it's so far along in the phases in regards to the trials, and especially because we know how efficacious ketamine can be for treating things like alcohol use disorder or addiction to alcohol generally. And they have MDMA in the phase 2A for the same thing. And then they're also taking ketamine and they're throwing it at gambling disorder, binge eating, compulsive sexual behavior, internet gaming disorder as well. So I like what they're doing with ketamine. Once again, I like efficiency and they are being efficient. And it's very likely that if they are already getting some promising results in regards to ketamine for alcohol use disorder, is that they will be able to show efficacy in regards to other addictions as well. And I know that in the podcast, Anthony Tennyson does mention some of the tremendous results they have been getting from some of their trials. So highly recommend checking that out. And they're already getting great results. So it's no surprise to me that they're going to try to see if they can show this same type of efficacy for other type of addictions and disorders. They are, according to their April 28th, so it's not the most current earnings report, they're already clearing over $200,000 in revenues. So that's because they do have clinics that they operate, and that's how they're they're administering their therapies. So they're definitely going. I love that they're already starting to create some type of revenue from themselves now, and it's likely to keep growing quarter over quarter. Because I remember from when I looked into some of their older reports as well, their earnings prior to when they hit the $200,000 mark, they were nothing. They were really, really nothing. I think it was like $15,000, or I don't quote me on that. It was just, it jumped up considerably. It was about a 500% jump to get to the $200,000 for the year. So hopefully they can keep showing these kind of leaps in revenues. But just generally as a company, they tick off a lot of the boxes that I like for these psychedelic companies. I like the work they're doing as well, and they happen to be very long in the phases. For ketamine, they happen to be very far along through the phases in regards to ketamine and MDMA for alcohol use disorder, as well as already having a revenue. So I highly, highly recommend checking out Awakn Life Sciences. I also recommend checking out that podcast if you are interested at all in Awakn Life Sciences. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the Psychedelic Invest episode today, and I hope you all have a great day. This is Adam with Psychedelic Invest.